Eshmun is one of the most prominent deities of the ancient Phoenician and Canaanite pantheon, particularly worshipped in the city of Sidon, which was one of the most important Phoenician city-states located along the Mediterranean coast in modern-day Lebanon. Eshmun is primarily known as a god of healing and medicine, and his cult was centered around his ability to restore health and offer divine protection against disease and suffering. His worship was widespread throughout the Phoenician world, with temples dedicated to him not only in Sidon but also in other regions of the ancient Mediterranean. The name Eshmun is derived from the Semitic root smn, which means to heal or health, clearly aligning the god with the powers of recovery and well-being. As a healing deity, Eshmun was often invoked in times of illness or suffering, and his followers believed that he could cure both physical ailments and spiritual afflictions. This association with healing placed Eshmun in a position of great importance in Phoenician religious life, as the health of the community was directly tied to the favor and blessing of the gods. In iconography, Eshmun was typically depicted as a youthful, bearded god, often with symbols of healing such as medicinal plants or serpents, which were commonly associated with the healing arts in the ancient world. His image was sometimes similar to that of other healing gods from the ancient Near East, and in later times, he was equated with the Greek god Asclepius and the Roman god Aesculapius, both of whom were also patrons of medicine and healing. One of the central myths associated with Eshmun concerns his origin story. According to the myth, Eshmun was initially a mortal youth who suffered from a grievous illness, which led to his near-death experience. During this time, he was said to have been miraculously healed by a divine intervention, after which he was granted immortality and transformed into a god. This transformation from mortal to immortal god emphasized his connection to both the human experience of suffering and the divine ability to heal and transcend physical limitations. The story of Eshmun's healing and subsequent apotheosis became central to his cult, as it underscored the idea that the god could cure any affliction, whether physical, mental, or spiritual. Eshmun's connection to healing was not limited to personal well-being but also extended to the broader health of the community. In many ancient cultures, the health of the people was believed to be connected to the health of the land and the prosperity of the crops, animals, and cities. As a god of healing, Eshmun was also invoked to protect against plagues and disease outbreaks, which were common in the ancient world. His followers believed that by maintaining his favor through offerings and prayers, they could ensure the continued health and fertility of the land, as well as protect their cities from harm. In Sidon, the worship of Eshmun was particularly significant. One of the most important sites dedicated to Eshmun was his grand temple at Sidon, which was a major pilgrimage destination for those seeking healing. Archaeological evidence suggests that this temple complex was not only a religious site, but also a medical center where sick individuals would go in hopes of receiving divine aid. This temple may have included healing rituals, sacrifices, and other practices designed to invoke Eshmun's power. In addition to his role as a healer, Eshmun was also regarded as a protector of travelers, as the safety of those journeying through dangerous regions was often linked to the favor of the gods. The cult of Eshmun was closely connected to the Phoenician concept of death and the afterlife. In some versions of the myth, Eshmun was not only the god of healing but also a god who could guide souls to the afterlife, offering protection and solace in the journey. His ability to transcend death was especially significant, as many ancient cultures viewed healing and resurrection as interconnected, symbolizing the god's power over life and death. Eshmun's influence also extended beyond the Phoenician world. As the Phoenicians were great sailors and traders, their religious practices and deities spread throughout the Mediterranean and beyond. In some areas, Eshmun was equated with or syncretized with other healing gods, such as Asclepius in Greece. The similarities between Eshmun and Asclepius are particularly striking, as both were depicted with similar attributes: youthful appearance, association with snakes, and the power to heal. Despite the widespread worship of Eshmun in the ancient Mediterranean, his cult gradually declined with the rise of monotheistic religions, particularly Christianity. As with many other Phoenician deities, the spread of new religious beliefs led to the suppression of polytheistic practices, and the once great temples of Eshmun fell into disrepair. However, his legacy lives on in the broader traditions of healing and medicine, as his story and iconography influenced later gods of healing in the Greco-Roman world. Today, Eshmun is largely a forgotten figure in mainstream religious and cultural history, but his role as a god of healing and medicine reflects the ancient human need to seek divine aid in times of sickness and suffering. His story is a reminder of the importance of health in ancient societies, and how the gods were intimately connected to the well-being of both individuals and communities. As a god who bridged the realms of life, death, and healing, Eshmun continues to be a fascinating figure in the study of ancient Near Eastern religions and their influence on later cultures.